Hello and welcome back to another episode of Her Becoming. I am your host, Kayla Countryman. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for rocking with me. Episode 29. I can't believe it. If you are new to the show and you're finding us for the first time, welcome. Her Becoming is a wellness and personal development podcast for women and men. We do have a few male listeners, so shout out to the fellas. And it's really all about helping you become the most authentic version of yourself. We explore a variety of topics from holistic health and wellness to mindset and psychology, spirituality, career, purpose, really with the intention of helping you become the woman or the man that you were sent here to be. So thank you for joining us today. In today's episode, we are talking about staying grounded through the holiday season. And when I say staying grounded through the holiday season, I'm talking about remaining your authentic self as you go through a season that can cause nervous system dysregulation, feel a little bit chaotic, feel testy on relationships and family dynamics. Like, let's be honest, there's just a lot happening in this time of year. Today's episode is really a hug to you and your nervous system to provide you tips and a toolkit for navigating this time of year where we want to foster deep connections. We want to be intentional with our family and friends, but we also have to make space for pouring back into ourselves and making sure that we are nurtured so that we can show up in a very authentic way. So today we're diving into that, and I'm really excited about it because I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for how challenging this time of year can be. I know even for me, I'm so close to my family. I adore my family. I feel so blessed to have the village that I have. Truly deep down, I am so blessed. And still, even for me, this time of year can feel really turbulent in trying to find time for myself and my routines and feel like I'm showing up for my family and my friends. It's challenging. And that's coming from someone that has a very stable and secure family dynamic. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people. So today I just want to check in with you on how you're doing right now and provide ways that you can move forward through this season and nurture connections that are important to you without self-abandoning. So it's really about remaining present over this next 6-week period while staying authentic to who you really are and the person that you're becoming. It's no secret that this season is a time of giving. We're giving our time, we're giving back, we're spoiling our friends and family with gifts and love and attention, and it's such a beautiful thing. I truly love the quality time that comes with the holidays. However, there is a point where we have to remember to pour back into ourselves as well. And I think especially for women, we tend to begin pouring from an empty cup this time of year because we want to make sure that everything is handled and everything is under control and everyone feels taken care of. And it can really take a toll on our. So let's start by talking about what happens in our nervous system around the holidays. It is completely normal for your nervous system to feel a bit dysregulated this time of year. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say nervous system dysregulation, this can mean feelings of increased anxiety and nervousness, feeling more stressed or burnt out than usual. It can show up as feeling disinterested in things that you're typically interested in, and that's often as a result of feeling overstimulated. It can show up as overwhelmed or feeling scatterbrained. I don't know about you, but I must rely on lists, especially this time of year. I feel like my brain is just popcorning from one thing to another, trying to do everything and essentially save the world. And it's so unrealistic. And that feeling of your brain feeling scattered is a sign of nervous system dysregulation. Now, why does this happen? First of all, there's a ton of reasons this can happen, so we're not going to be able to cover them all. But just to hit on a few, the most obvious reason is our calendars are just completely overburdened this time of year. There is so much going on with people trying to wrap things up before the end of the year, especially if you're working in corporate America, especially if you have kids. This is true for you tenfold. Mamas, shout out to you because I truly cannot imagine managing classroom activities and holiday parties and classroom gifting on top of just life in general. There's just so much going on. We have to recognize that when more is being asked of us, our nervous system is going to become a bit dysregulated. Another thing that can happen around this time of year when we're spending time with family is old patterns and family roles can resurface. And what I mean by that is when you're spending time around your parents and around family, especially around family that you may not see as often, your inner child or your inner teen can start to resurface. It can bring up memories of being around these family members when you were a child. You can feel like these family members are treating you like an old version of yourself. Maybe you're spending time with people who haven't had the pleasure of getting to know the current version of you. And that can just be because you don't see them very frequently or you're not as close. As adults, we spend most of our time with our lovers and the families that we create, with our coworkers, with our business partners, with our friends. Those are the people that, if we're being honest, really get to know us. And sometimes the family relationships, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, those can start to feel more distant and they may not be as familiar with what's going on in your life as your close circle is. And that's okay. I want you to give yourself grace and also give your family members grace. It can feel overwhelming when people are interrogating you about your life this time of year. But when you look at it through the lens of your family trying to keep a relationship with you and trying to learn and understand this new and evolved version of you, that can make it a little bit easier to give yourself and to give them grace. We also see sensory overload and disruption of routines. When we are around a lot of company, we're at holiday parties, we're at family gatherings, we are seeing differences in our diet. We're eating a lot more sweets and being a lot more lenient on the things that we consume. We are working out less just based on scheduling and having time off of work and wanting to sleep in. Maybe consuming more alcohol because let's be real, who doesn't want a glass of red wine at the family Thanksgiving dinner? And possibly even sleeping less because we may have some late nights. And again, schedules just get a bit rearranged. If you're like me and you love a routine, you love your routine, this can lead to sensory overload. I know for me, when I'm out of my normal routine for too long, I just start to feel generally disconnected from myself. So if that happens to you, again, know that it's completely normal. We are going to talk through ways you can prevent that in this episode. And then the last thing we'll touch on as far as nervous system dysregulation is the fact that the body really does keep score. It's a book. I reference that line all the time on this podcast. The body keeps score, which means the body really holds on to our memories, our experiences, things that happen to us in our lives. It's common to revert back into old habits or old patterns that may have once been a version of us that we don't claim or carry anymore. I just want to normalize this type of dysregulation that may cause you feelings of irritability or increased stress this time of year. And while this time of year may cause some nervous system dysregulation, I don't want us to just throw it away. If you're someone that doesn't really celebrate the holidays or it's just not your thing, that is totally fine, like to each their own. However, I want to offer up this perspective of being able to focus on intentional connection this time of year while making space for protecting your peace, while making space for keeping your nervous system in check. Both can be true. So here are some ways you can focus on intentional connection throughout this holiday season. The first is quality over quantity of time spent with other people. So I know a lot of us get a little bit anxious about spending a lot of time with family throughout the holidays. And there can also be this pressure to spend as much time as we can or take advantage of every minute that you have with your family members. And I am someone, like I said, I'm such a family girl. So quality time is so important to me with the people that I love. That being said, quality over quantity. If you have a low social battery, or you are spending time with people who are triggering you, or people that bring up painful memories from the past, you are allowed to limit your time in those environments. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to say no to the interactions, the events, or the gatherings that do not serve you. And when I say quality, I'm really talking about presence. Practicing presence and active listening. If you can be with your family for just a couple hours, but for those few hours, you are present, you are listening, you are engaged, that's going to be so much more meaningful in the long run than trying to spend an entire weekend or an entire day with your family and you're overstimulated, disengaged, and you are not acting as your authentic self. Something that really helps me that my therapist taught me is to be curious, not judgmental. It's such a simple practice, but I'm able to apply it in my own self inquiry, in my relationships, my friendships, my family dynamics, especially a time of year where we may be interacting with people that have different beliefs or different thought patterns than us, different experiences than us. Curiosity, not judgment. Being curious is such a beautiful way to nurture an intentional connection. So this looks like asking specific questions. Something that absolutely drives me crazy is the question, what's new? Like, can we please kill and bury that question? I know that's so dramatic, but I despise the question, what's new? It's way too broad. It doesn't make me feel like you care about what's going on in my life. It's just a massive question that for me, as someone that is intentional in my communication, I'm overwhelmed by that question. I don't know how to answer it, so my answer is always nothing, and that's just simply not true. So instead of asking people what's new, try to focus on asking people specific questions about their life. If you know someone just went on a trip, how was your trip to insert destination? If you know someone started a new hobby, how are you liking insert hobby? And if you don't know what's going on in someone's life, a distant relative, for example, a couple questions that you can store in your back pocket that feel specific and intentional. The first one is, what is bringing you joy right now? I love this question because you are basically requiring that they give you a positive answer. I think around the holidays, one thing that can really drain us is getting stuck around people that complain or constantly have something negative to throw out there. So the question, what's bringing you joy right now, really forces them to think about, what in my life is positive and really making me feel a sense of genuine happiness right now. The other question that I love to ask is, what has been the best part of your year? Again, you are requiring that they share something positive with you. You are also helping that person that you're speaking with identify something beautiful that happened to them this year. And that can be something small, something big. You're really just opening the floor for them to share a great memory with you. Connection can be really simple. And around the holidays, we can get into these performative identities where we are acting as past versions of ourselves, or past versions of ourselves are being brought out by other people. Keep it simple. Intention will always beat out performance. And so another thing that you can do to encourage intentional connection is check in with yourself regularly. When you're at family gatherings, when you're at holiday parties, just take a moment to ask yourself, am I being authentic? Is the most authentic version of myself in the room right now? If not, pivot. If yes, keep it going. And we can't talk about holidays and connection without talking about boundaries. I know boundaries are a buzzword and people have a lot of feelings about boundaries, but they are really important, especially this time of year. One thing that people often get wrong about boundaries are for yourself, not for other people. I think the reason that boundaries get such a bad rep is because they are seen as these harsh rules that we give other people about how they can exist in our lives. And that's not necessarily the case. When you set a boundary, it's important to focus on I, not you language. And often we feel guilty when we do set boundaries, especially for us past people pleasers. It can feel almost mean to put a boundary in place. But again, when you're setting boundaries about yourself and not about other people, it's really not a dig at anyone else. It's just about protecting your own peace. This can look like identifying topics ahead of time of things that you will and will not discuss at holiday gatherings. It can look like setting boundaries with yourself about what you will consume and not consume at these gatherings. There's so many things that you can do. And again, just focusing on I language instead of you. I need to do X, Y, and Z for my own benefit. I need to do X, Y, and Z to ensure I get enough rest. I need to do X, Y, and Z because this is what feels good in my body. Boundaries do not need to be directed at other people. They are simply things that you can do for your own benefit to help you stay in your authentic being. And again, it all just comes back to protecting your peace around this season. So, I want to talk through some things you can do to stay grounded over these next couple of months. Think of this as your holiday toolkit. You can take this with you to any gathering, any party, any event, as just little reminders of ways to return home to yourself in times of chaos. So, the first thing is to create your own pre visit ritual. When I say pre visit ritual, I mean whatever the thing is that you plan to attend, the holiday party, the family dinner, the family brunch, whatever it is, have a go to grounding practice. This could look like a 5-minute silent meditation before you leave your house, or maybe it looks like laying down with your legs up the wall to reduce your blood pressure and lower your heart rate before you go somewhere that may be stimulating for you. Another thing you can do is have a breathwork practice or a somatic cue that helps you come back to baseline. So, something that I often do at any large gathering, no matter if it's family, friends, business, whatever it is, at some point I go into the bathroom just to close my eyes and take a few deep breaths or even do some box breathing. This is a really great signal to your body. I am safe. I am present. I am here. And it also provides you the ability to just check in with how you're feeling in that moment and shift accordingly. Earlier in the episode, I talked about using self inquiry and asking yourself throughout an event, am I showing up as my authentic self? When you take this moment to check in with yourself, take some deep breaths, a fantastic time to ask yourself that question. Another thing that's really important is planning out micro moments of solitude. This is one that's really important for me personally. My family comes to visit me around the holidays and just throughout the year in general, and they usually stay with me because I have enough space. I have a guest room, they come here, they bring their dogs, and honestly, I love it because it gives us the space for a lot of quality time. At the same time, as someone that is used to living alone, used to a very quiet house, it can be very overstimulating. The dogs are barking, I have extra people here, people are up at different times, the TV is louder. Things are happening in my house that I'm just not used to. And so for me, planning out micro moments of solitude is really important. This looks like going for a midday walk, or maybe going into my room and putting my headphones in and doing a 15-minute meditation. There are so many ways you can find moments to spend alone, even amongst company, and never feel guilty for taking yourself out of a situation so that you can return more authentic. Sometimes we have to take a pause, take a break, step out so that we can come back and have more space to enjoy those moments. Another thing you can do is choose your non-negotiables in your routine. So, like I said, this time of year, so easy to get out of your routine. Like, I think we all get out of our routines in some way, shape, or form. There's just so much going on. So maybe instead of committing to a extended morning routine every single day that you know is unrealistic, maybe pick one non-negotiable in your routine. For me right now, it's meditation. I'm going to meditate every single day, regardless. I may not have time to journal and meditate and read and take a walk every single day, but I know at least I'm going to meditate, and that is non negotiable. So identify what that is for you. Pick one part of your routine, be flexible with it, something that you know helps bring you back to baseline at least once per day. And then last but not least is post-socialization decompression. So we talked about before the event, we talked about during the event. Well, it's also important to have a decompression ritual for when you get home from these events or gatherings. So having movement to engage in can be really helpful. Going for a walk or even just laying on your floor and getting some stretching in. When we are moving our body, we're moving the energy of the day through us. So simply laying down, stretching, legs up the wall, yin yoga, restorative postures, this can be a really great way to decompress after feeling overstimulated or giving away a lot of your energy. Another thing that I love to do is read. I read fiction at night. If you've been here, you know this. It is a non-negotiable part of my day. And reading at the end of a long day can transport your brain somewhere else, especially if you read fiction. Like, it's just such a fun way to turn your brain off and enjoy a story. There's so many ways you can decompress, and this is really specific to who you are and what you like. Maybe you like a hot shower, maybe you like a bath, maybe you go to the sauna, do a cold plunge. I don't know, to each their own. But just something that allows you to pour back into yourself after you've given away a lot in that day. I threw a lot at you today, and what I really want you to leave this episode with is grace for yourself and grace for others. Especially if you have complicated family dynamics, especially if the holidays bring up a lot of feelings of grief or heartache for you. Be gentle with yourself. There is no right way to do the holidays. There is no perfect way. There is no performance needed here. Put yourself first. And I know that can be really hard at times, and sometimes it's even impossible, depending on what the dynamic is. But do your best to carve out time to take care of yourself. Do your best to show up for the people that show up for you, and be intentional in the way that you approach this season. If you need extra time to care for yourself, take it. This is your reminder to take it. And lastly, protect your peace. Protect your peace, whatever that looks like. You can be loving and compassionate and show up with your family and friends and still protect your peace. There is so much duality that can be had this time of year. I will leave you with that today. But before we wrap up, I do have a special announcement for you. I am officially opening my books for 2026 wellness coaching. If you are someone that is seeking a deeper connection to yourself, you're looking to close the gap between who you are today and the person that you want to be. You have this grand idea, this grand vision for what you want your life to look like, but you're just having a little bit of trouble getting there. Allow me to support you. I would love to carry you through the journey of becoming the woman that you are meant to be. So one-on-one coaching, me and you, 12 weeks. If you sign on for January before the end of this year, I am offering $300 off right now. So reach out to me, DM me. The link is also in the show notes to schedule a free discovery call with me to learn more. It would be an honor to support you. That's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoy the holiday. Have a beautiful rest of your week. And until the next episode, be well.